You're listening to the Tooth Sleuth Podcast, all about the business of dentistry, hosted by yours truly, Greg Essenmacher, a fixed full arch dental expert and founder of G&A Consult, speaking with industry leaders on the dental landscape from their perspective. At G&A, we specialize in transforming full arch dental practices, teaching, coaching, and training teams to deliver an exceptional patient experience, from that first call to delivering final smiles. Whether you're a practice owner, a DSO executive, or a regional leader looking to expand your full arch program, boost same-store sales, or unlock the true profitability of full arch cases, we've got you covered. Ready to see how full arch can elevate your practice? Visit the show page or book a discovery call today. Let's turn your potential into results. Welcome back to the Tooth Sleuth Podcast, everyone. Greg Essenmacher here. It's okay if you don't know me because I have not one, but two powerhouses from the dental industry. I have Nathaniel. What are we calling you today, Mr. Baker? And Austin Moffat, both guys that I know from the industry, solid super dudes, very authentic. Welcome to the show, boys.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Greg. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And Nathaniel, if you nod your head yes, only if they're on YouTube can they see you. So if you don't verbally communicate, but this is a podcast, mostly audio, so you have to respond.
Oh, I'm just not going to talk over Austin. I'm just trying to give everyone their time. Like, I don't want to interrupt, like, hey, I'm happy to be here, Greg. Thanks for having me.
My time. This is my time. It's like from the Goonies. It's our time, right? Help me go back to that reference. Well, I'm super excited to have you both on. So I know that, Nathaniel, you just had a change in venue and who your employer is. So I'm super excited to talk about the fact that you're now with Overjet. So we're definitely going to talk some AI. And Austin, you branched out and you're now doing your own thing with your broski and you're doing some things. And I know we had you on one-to-one and we were talking all things CFO. So don't bore the crap out of my audience when you're talking about DSOs and CFOs. But we were just kind of chatting it up at, I don't even remember what show conference we were at, but we were talking about AI and technology and, EIEIO and how technology, it means so many things to so many people. And I was just coming across an article this morning and it was talking about AI integration and where should you start? And it had like these 7 things and how do you implement, how do you start? And clients of mine all the time at G&A Consult are talking about it, but I don't want to hear about me. So let's start here with AI. So when I say AI to each of you, the first thing that comes to mind and how it's not being implemented well in the dental space, because everybody wants to talk about, oh, it's so great, it's so amazing. And, they're well beyond like... What's the one thing that you would say is holding back practices or groups from actually adoption of AI technology in their practices right now? Either one of you, take a stab at it.
Yeah, this is, there's so many ways we can go with this, but in my opinion, when I have seen groups work on deploying AI, it's making sure that they have a clear implementation and then a long-term strategy on how they're going to use it. Understanding like the actual business case of what is the pain that they're trying to solve, what's the return on investment. It's a hard conversation when you are bringing in artificial intelligence. And so just really have an alignment between if it's an industry partner, if it's a tech partner, if it's the DSO, if that's not there, it doesn't matter. Salesforce did a study recently where 75 to 85% of all of the tech adoption fails because expectations aren't set initially and not doing it on level setting on both sides. So I'd say that's a great place for whoever's involved to start.
Yeah, love the implementation piece, which is critical. But Austin, please, yes, for sure.
Run a spreadsheet, put it on some numbers, CFO, just like, hey, what's the...
Count the beans.
Count the beans, push the beans. Yeah, anyways.
Well, for sure, you jump on the ROI that you talked about. I did too.
Don't even.
He's like, let me dust this off.
No, I'll tell you this. I think before AI, I think that there's a missing tech component in dentistry right now, and for me is in having several discussions with other like-minded individuals like us. We're missing the hooks and the information into the practice management systems, right? And for me, before you even get to artificial intelligence, for me there's a massive foundation that has to be constructed, that has to be built. Look, at the end of the day, there's so much data out there for practices. You've got practice management, clinical, right? You've got marketing data. You have you have accounting data, right? Which is all own just separate levels. And so, but right now, because the practice management system, I'd say most, if not all of them, most of them for sure, they're so heavily guarded with who can get access and who can't, right? Those API hooks are having a hard time. But there's two sets of data. You have the clinical, the practice data, then you have the accounting and the finance. They're both relevant to the practices, but they're not talking to each other whatsoever, right? And so it's a massive, massive missed data for practices to have all that data under one roof, right? And so for me, there's a massive, massive tech piece that's missing. On the AI aspect, there are areas where it is starting to connect. We have a client for practice group out of Texas, and they have replaced, I spoke with them 2 months ago, they have replaced 3 employees with AI currently available right now in tech. We've spoken with the company. They're local to Utah. We spoke with them a couple of times. We're looking to learn more about them, introduce them to some of our own clients. So there are, there are stuff that, there is stuff that is working now for the benefit of the practice. And for me, I think it's the insurance verification, right? Is like the primary area. But for me, that's what's working, right? So kind of like a 2-piece answer, if that's appropriate, Greg.
Well, it is. And what I'm hearing from both of you is the implementation side, right? Making the business case of what are we trying to solve? And then the integration piece, which is will they all talk to each other? Will the pieces talk to each other so that the data and how we determine the ROI, like is it successful, right? If we're going to pilot, is it successful? How do we know if it's successful? What's the measurables coming from the front end of what we assume, right? The assumptions we're going to make of what we're trying to solve. And then on the back end of, did we actually solve it? Did we get good data on the back end? I was talking with Jill Nesbitt, a good friend of mine, who owns a consulting group as well. And we were talking about this very thing where we, as entrepreneurs who own consulting businesses and have consultants and trainers and coaches that work for us, that we're going in and we're getting inundated left and right by AI companies left and right. Right. Oh, well, we can automate a lot of things that we're doing. And we're just trying to figure out like which filing cabinets are which, even though we're
Yeah.
well down the path because we're trying to respond to the needs. Right. So to what you were talking about, Nathaniel, you were talking about that understanding what are you trying to solve for? That's the key. And that need-based change, not like the glitchy terms, right? Oh, same store sales. Oh, we got to do that. What are you really trying to solve for? What is the end goal in mind? And then what are the assumptions you're putting in place? And then what are the pieces that you're going to try? Just like you talked about, Austin, how with the AI, like replacing some of the humans or supplementing what they're doing, but somebody still has to teach that AI of what you're trying to overcome
Correct.
and then manage the whole project and know how effective is it really, like with insurance verification, because there still has to be a human monitoring it all. So how is that affecting the businesses that both of you are running and working in currently that you're finding?
Well, and it's interesting. Jill and I at Tech Summit last week had a great conversation on what's the measure you're using. So when you're working, whether it's a solo practice, whether it's you're going to have like an emerging DSO, you're going to have a, mid-market or whatever that might be. How are you doing it? Right. And you have to, because Austin, to your point, we can't wave a magic wand and we're not going to have all of this API and all the different kinds of PMSs that are out there. It's just the state of the industry right now. We have to have that operational alignment so that each part of the business, each department knows the outcome that needs to happen. And then what are we measuring to? Because if we don't have any kind of measuring stick, then how do we know current state? And then how do we plan for performance? And what does future state look like? So that's was what Jill and I discussed is whatever the conversation has to be. If it's a doctor and you as a consultant, if finance and it's going to be operations, we have to agree on a common measure that then gets disseminated down at every level of the organization. If not, it breaks. And then that's where the finger pointing comes. That's where you're not measuring it how I want to. And that's really where us as the technology partner, that's our responsibility is upfront when we're having a pilot conversation. We have to do that early because if not, the wheels are going to fall off and then everyone blames somebody. You have to have that kind of ownership up front. So I mean, to my experience, what I've seen is the most successful DSOs that I've worked with are the ones that have not only everyone talks about vision, everyone talks about mission, everyone talks about these kinds of things, but who can very effectively create strategies and processes that align on that all the way through the business. Those that do succeed very well. Those that don't, they just stagnate.
Yeah, I think your point, Nathaniel. I think all this AI, it's such a I mean, it is the hot word, not just in dental, but just in general. And I think it's appealing, and like even in accounting, in the accounting world, which we won't go too too much into on this call, but it's even there. It's a really hot word, and I think it's great to say that you're looking at it. But if you don't have your systems and processes in place, then the AI can't be effective or effective, excuse me. And I think that shows, it goes to show, are you organized and do you have all your ducks in a row and do you know your processes inside and out? I'd be willing to bet most practices and most groups probably think they do, but probably like find out that they don't really quickly, right? And again, it goes to show the importance of internal, just clean and organized and consistent operations and processes. And AI is gonna make you find out real fast, right? So kind of to your point a little bit there, Nathaniel. But I think for us, for a lot of our clients, kind of piggybacking off of what I was initially saying, is it, it's a hot topic. I mean, everybody wants in on it, but they don't know where or how or even like should they trust? Like is now the time, right? Do we need to wait for the AI to like mature a little bit more to like go through some of these like issues, right? I mean, to your point, I said I was going to talk about accounting, but it's very similar back to dental. Like we've looked at so many accounting AI platforms out there. A lot of them say, we're here, we've got this. We just did a demo 2 weeks ago and it was an absolute flop. There was an AI staff accountant AI. They're like, this is us. And I'm like, this is what you say you are, then this is amazing, right? 24/7 like accountant, right? Let's look into that. And it was a CRM. We're like, this is not what you advertised, by the way. This is
Yeah.
not at all what you said it was. Oh, and by the way, let's say that you have that, you still need someone to approve like the transactions and everything that you are allocating or classifying. Oh, and by the way, if you have an AI platform that's doing that without authorization or a green light, right? Then who's liable for the mistakes, right? Because the AI companies sure are going to distance themselves from that. So you still need a layer of oversight, if you will, of management, if you will. And so I think that these are a lot of the conversations and the realities that a lot of our clients, and look, we're not pushing AI, but we're not dumb enough or the dumb enough. We're not dumb
Or
or
smart
or
enough.
or smart enough, I guess, whatever you want to say, right? But that is coming. Like that is dentistry. That is the industry, right? It is coming. What does it look like, and how impactful is that? And then how much does that interact in your day to day lives in the practice, right? It's I think we're so new. We're only scratching the surface, if you will. And I think there's a lot more to come, but I think these are the current conversations that we're having almost on a regular basis, on a daily basis, almost with a lot of our clients.
Yeah.
Well, and then
Greg.
go ahead, Nathaniel, please.
Oh yeah, yeah, and Austin, to your point, right? Like, and Greg, you mentioned about like supplementing, right? And I know there's a lot of different emotions around AI and what it does, but the ability at Overjet being able to make good, intelligent, clinical decisions is if we can leverage AI for a lot of the repetitive tasks that if we can automate that human capital, the ability to deploy a team or a group, it's not going anywhere because we are in a clinically driven industry, right? You have to have the dental consultants on an insurance carrier or payer side that review claims, right? Or they have to leverage it certain ways, like having your dentist who is specialized to do certain things. It's not just going to disappear. So it's really how can we have an effective conversation around that? And Austin, to your point, when you have a client who's 4 locations and has a automated accountant, right? Or like a 24/7 that's really an RCM tool. That's why it comes back down to the measure. what does success look like? What would it look like initially? And then when you pop the hood, if that doesn't align, yeah, I mean, better that you had that on a one demo call or two conversations than doing a 10, 15, 20, 30 location rollout and trying to do all of the change management. Because look, it
Correct.
doesn't matter if it's accounting, if it's AI, if it's implant processes and systems. Change management just should be changed to suck management. Greg, was that you that had mentioned that it's suck management? Or I had just seen it recently on LinkedIn, and it was not me that said that. I can't remember who I attributed it to. It really is. It's suck management. Like, no matter how you go about it, change is hard. And if a group doesn't have that kind of acceptance, then you end up stagnating. And Patrick Jacob at the Tech Summit had a really good question. When we talk about tech broadly, and if we really want to align with a group or even a single location, because I saw this when I was at my previous company, you're talking about technology. It's the same conversation. It's just at scale, right? His question is do you view and look at technology as an investment, or is it a expense and a cost? And I think that up front, do you look at, implant and sales training and support? Do you look at that as an investment or a cost? An expense? Do you look at having an accounting firm like us as a cost? And we're going to learn really quickly what side that they fall into, and then it's our responsibility to define the rest of it with them.
Yeah, I agree. That's well said.
Suck management.
Yeah, and a few of the things that you both bring up, and what I think is critically important to remember as well, is that it depends on the clients that you're working with, right? Because that API integration, if it is, an emerging group DSO compared to an individual location, depending on the company, the size that you're working with, all of this sounds well and good until you go to integrate it with a group or an organization. And the overarching theme of what you both have been talking about is that for whether it's, with a company like Overjet, or it's an independent, entrepreneurial group like G&A Consult, or, DSO CFO that you have, Austin, it's a matter really of it's client facing. Like, what does it look like client facing when we're proposing in any type of AI technology that a third party is coming to us potentially, or is trying to integrate something new? And then who is your guinea pig, right? Who are you going to pilot it with? And that's what I want to ask next, because, whether it's complementing or supplementing, like whatever that automated process is, to be able to focus more on, in our case, the patient experience, which we know increases conversions in implants in full arch, or in Austin's case of really being able to focus more on what are the levers that are being pulled and needs more focus for the practice or group to be able to hone in on it. What's the next best decision and risk aversion for a group to be able to take on their executing on their vision, whatever the case may be. And so when it comes to piloting, I think one of the most important things is, what does buy-in look like from the stakeholders, and making sure you're making the calculated decision, especially with emerging groups, larger groups of 20, 30, 50, 100 locations. And I know some of our clients are of that size, of picking the right pilot so that those measurables, which we've talked about, how do you measure that? Extremely important to talk about. And the suck management, I'll use your term, Nathaniel, all of those things together, that at least you can get some good data on the other side to know whether it is, I won't even call it a success, of knowing what measure of success that you've accomplished, and throw away that which isn't working and be able to build on that which is. So what have you both found that when it comes to doing pilots, proposing pilots, and stakeholder buy-in is the most effective strategy with best practices?
Austin, I'll let you go. First. You want me to go?
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Whatever.
you go.
Yeah, go.
Oh, no,
Okay,
you go.
I'll go.
Yeah.
Well, I think in terms of taking this to our clients, most of our clients are pretty open to AI. They recognize, and any tech for that matter, they recognize that they need to implement that in their practice. So I would say most are welcome, and we have. I mean, I'd say we have a really good relationship with most, if not all, of our clients, where they would welcome to be guinea pigs. In fact, we have 3 separate projects that we have different clients that are guinea pigs for currently right now, on just separate tech and one AI. And so But I would say a lot of it comes down to what's the product, right? What's the product, and then what's the need of our clients, and then honestly, this probably goes for, I would say, most practices out there. I'd say most are very open and welcoming to additional tech and AI. I would say, at least for us, a big thing is ROI. So like what is that expense? And then what am
There
I
it is.
gonna
I'm gonna
get
ring
out
a
of
bell
that?
every time that the
Yeah,
CFO says
seriously.
ROI.
Seriously. You should. But I mean, I expect it on my next podcast with you, Greg. But no, but seriously, it's a question of cost and then a question of reward, right? So what is that? Okay, well, I'm just gonna pick on our client out of Texas, right? That's using this other group. Because I would say out of all of our clients, they're the one that are the most advanced out of all of our clients in AI. Sure, there's aspects like other aspects that they're using somewhere else, but this has been the most unique and the most different. And they've actually cut actual like hard costs, right? At least $12,000 a month in payroll. Just that, right?
Wow.
That's been the most unique. And so I would say, what is the cost? It's you're paying probably a couple $1,000s, not much, but a couple, in this product, but then you're shaving off, also some more thousands of dollars and other expenses. Okay, great. So now we know the black and white from a dollar, but then let's go further deep. Let's go a little bit deeper. Like, can that platform produce and provide uh like the same output or similar output to what these individuals were, right? And then that's where the measuring comes into play. Now, I'll be honest, we are not that involved in that process because that's a little bit more operations than it is like finance and tracking. But like we'll see it, we'll look at their AR, we'll look at their cash flow, we'll look at their deposits, and we'll take a look at production, all that stuff, right? So that's where we come into play. But that's kind of the aftermath, right? And I'll be honest, again, this was 2 months ago. We had that initial discussion. We looked at it a couple of weeks ago. So they were in this for about 3.5 months, and it was similar outputs, very similar outputs, like enough where they're like, this was an incredible decision for us, right, as a group.
Yeah.
Really move the needle for sure. Yeah, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Well, and for us, like, we're so focused on profit margin and increasing cash flow that we're like, well, look, it's bittersweet, right? I mean, it's a little scary. If you're an employee, right, and you feel like, oh no, my job's gonna get taken by AI, or kind of take it by the horns and say, can I understand this product so I could oversee it, right? And
Yeah.
I think
That's it.
it's all how you look at it, right? And to be honest with you, that's the way that the world's going. That's certainly the way that the industry's going, right? So can you own that that's where the direction is headed, and then how committed are you, right? How committed are you, and how much do you care about being involved, right? Because it's going that way, one way or the other. And so just own that new role, right? So anyway, sorry, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Yeah, great points, Austin. And I've done a lot of these conversations over my last couple of years, and it really depends who you're talking to. Because if you're a C-suite, the areas of focus and what success looks like is defined one way. Critically, you have to have regional management or some kind of operations leader who is the project owner, who is that internal champion. And my recommendation is that you have multiple of those because organizations can change. I had one where it was 80 plus locations, and then our stakeholder group that were in the pilot, my my project manager changed 3 times, and we saw it to fruition in the end because we had built enough of a relationship and, again, alignment that had done that. So always build wider than you think, because operationally, or an organization or chart can change at any point. And then there's also the end user. So you guys have talked about insurance verification. You have all of these AI tools that are doing call answering or chat bots and different things like that. So what you define the measure is going to depend on what level of the organization. So there's 2 big responsible pieces. Matt McGaw and I had a really long conversation about this recently. Is the technology partner, the industry partner, has to be effective at asking the right questions and defining what that is with the DSO. But it's also the DSO's responsibility. Like a technology partner doesn't want to go with you 6 months down the line, spin wheels and realize that it doesn't work, because that's opportunity cost. They could work with a different group that maybe is more aligned. The DSO could have worked with a different group or a different technology. So I really hope that we can continue to have very transparent and honest conversations about what that looks like. And I know we could spend a whole other podcast episode doing that. So if we want to, Greg, let's jump back at a different time. But then that's where the pilot goes in. So I've always said, take 10 to 15% of your locations and then do two different ways. Do a handful and select the ones that are operating very well, so that you could see what is the change by leveraging AI, and then find one or two locations that aren't doing well, that if you put this in here, that it could have impact. The challenge, and those are the ones that really are the best served, are the underserved locations. It brings its own challenges with change management, because it's usually like they're putting out so many fires at the same time. So what deserves attention? It's still really, someone should own that and bring them as part of the pilot. But then that's where that pilot alignment really comes in. I've always said success criteria. I know it's more of a nomenclature, people can say different things, but if you have those deliverables at each level and you're getting feedback throughout, it is a collaboration and it is a partnership. It doesn't matter if it's AI, it doesn't matter if it's any kind of other tech. It is both companies coming together, holding hands, walking side by side through the good times, through the bumps and everything else that comes. And those are the pilots that deliver really well. The ones that don't are where there's no alignment, there's no clarity of strategy, and there is no partnership. And then one person just blames the other and says it's, tech partner or it's DSO. And we know that never works. So, yeah, I had one group, I built a narrative doc. So I started with all these different champions and we would evolve what did success look like. And then it was like for end user, for regional, for champion, for key stakeholder group. And I would attach that on every email. So no matter who was involved, when you would jump onto that meeting, this living, breathing document was, here's why we're here in the first place. And it helped everybody really stay on the same conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's critically important too, that was called out, right? To have an internal champion whenever you're implementing a pilot or any type of new change management
For sure.
into an organization. So I appreciate that call out too. Well, Nathaniel, this might be new to you. And so since you've already done this, Austin, I've got a little something planned. So all of my guests play a little something called What the Sleuth is Going On. It's 3 rapid fire questions. Nathaniel, they're coming at you. And Austin, since you've played and you've got like fighter jets going on in the background of your sound, I don't know what the hell's going on over there. So we're going to do it this way. Nathaniel, they're coming at you. Austin, when he finishes answering, you have to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Are we ready to play?
Done.
All right. Wait. Nathaniel, question number 1. What's the worst bad breath you've ever encountered?
There's some bad morning breath that, and probably my own, but what I've smelled or been a part of. Yeah, I think morning breath takes it.
Austin, scale of 1 to 10. How was that answer?
I think Nathaniel got a 10 for saying his morning breath was the worst. That's what I think.
Honestly, right?
I'll agree. I was gonna rate differently, but hey, I'm not in the ranking game. I'm just simply the host of the Tooth Sleuth.
I'm good. I'm glad Austin's my judge.
Right. I'm like the Russian judges of the 1980s in the gymnastics, right? Sorry, always that Russian judge. Question number 2. If you could change one thing about your smile, what would it be?
My front tooth, have it a little bit more aligned and straight. That one. That's it. I got a great smile, but it's a little bit off.
Oh, man. Same. It's this one. It's a root canal. My brother, when I was in 6th grade,
Austin,
threw
you're just
basketball
supposed to
at my
rate it.
face.
You're not supposed to give.
You're the judge, dude. You're not.
Follow the rules.
I'm a
What are you
jerk.
doing, Austin?
What a jerk.
Was the plane flying outside, or like did it not come through, or?
I'm gonna rate that a 10 or a 5, Nathaniel.
10 to 5? That's like,
I know, right?
5.
You went at him, and he's like, "Yeah, you just cut that ranking in half." I like it.
Yeah,
It's great. Now we're getting some.
It was a 7. You took a dig. I took it down 2 points. So.
There you go.
True. Yeah. Don't go at the judge. Don't go at the judge.
Kind of like the Ravens field goal yesterday. That thing was wide. I don't know why the hell. Home
That
field
was
advantage,
wide.
and they gave it to him with the Lions pulled
Isn't
it
that
out
wild?
anyway.
That was wild. Yeah.
Question number 3. if you
Yep, and that too. Like never met
could
it.
be, no, right? If you could go back,
So
be the inventor of any dental product. No, you can't choose your own if you have one. Which one would you choose, and why?
remineralization. I think that's so cool. Like Keradan and a lot of the ones that are out there to do a more holistic dentistry. I am terrified of the dentist. I have had terrible experiences as a kid. Never say never. I never thought I would have ended up in dental, let alone Utah being one of the meccas in the country for dental. I don't know how that happened, or I mean, there's a whole lot of opinion, but the idea that you could take something like that and bring, the enamel back and not have to do a lot of that like drill and fill, I think is so cool.
I mean,
10.
bring enamel back,
I
is
think-
that kind of like Justin Timberlake bringing sexy back? Austin, how do you rank that?
That's a 10. That's a 10. I think that's a great.
I'm
that's
going to give
great
him a bonus
suggestion.
point for using the word mecca. Just saying. I
11 out of 10.
all right.
Love
That makes up for the
That's
5.
a win.
Well, gentlemen, that's 10 minutes. Any final thoughts from my listening audience? Rapid fire. You got 30 seconds each. I'll start with Austin since Nathaniel felt he had to go first on everything because, I don't know, needy baby, greedy baby. Austin.
Exactly.
I think final thoughts. I think everyone's fairly open to the AI and the tech. As previously discussed, I would say, yeah, it's not rocket science, but just do your homework, right? Do your homework, and I do think identifying a champion to kind of court or go after and really get into what that is and how that can bestly implement it into the practice. It's now. I mean, this is where the industry's going. Right. So embrace it. Don't fight it. Embrace it. And I think, I think the practice will evolve as a result.
Nice.
Yeah, take ownership. Whether you're a solo practice or you're a technology partner or you're a DSO, we can all do better as this world of technology changes for us to be curious, to have these transparent and open conversations. Everyone benefits if we show up that way. And when we take ownership, we can make and have massive impact. And I hope that we can, all parties continue to do that even better.
Nice. My guest on the Tooth Sleuth Podcast has been none other than Nathaniel Bacon. Bacon. Nathaniel Baker and Austin Moffat. I think I need some bacon. Thank you, gentlemen, for a great and lively conversation. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Appreciate it, Greg. Thank you.
Thanks, Austin. It was a great time.
If you need help with converting lead calls into consultations, closing consults into more full arch cases, or creating a more strategic marketing message and branding for your practice or group, follow me for more tips or reach out to G&A Consult for a discovery call today.